Have you ever been alone in your home, feeling an unshakable presence lurking just beyond your sight? Tonight, I'm going to share a harrowing experience that shattered my perception of reality. This isn't a story crafted for entertainment. It's a true account of a night filled with inexplicable fear, unsettling mysteries, and encounters that defy explanation. It was around 11 p.m., and the house was enveloped in an eerie silence. I had just settled into my room, trying to ignore the howling wind outside, when a simple craving for water turned my night into a nightmare. Little did I know, this glass of water would become the catalyst for a series of terrifying events that still haunt me to this day. As I recount this night, I invite you to step into my shoes and feel the fear, the uncertainty, and the mystery that unfolded. If you're drawn to true stories of terror and the supernatural, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Sinister Stories channel, and share it with friends who crave a good scare. Prepare yourself, because what happened next is something I never could have imagined. Stay with me as I delve into the night that blurred the lines between the natural and the supernatural, leaving me questioning every shadow and every whisper. Welcome to Sinister Stories, where reality takes a terrifying turn. If you're ready to journey into the unknown and experience real-life horror, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Sinister Stories, and share it with those who dare to explore the darkest corners of fear and mystery. Let's uncover the truths that lie in the shadows together. To truly understand the fear that consumed me that night, you need to know the place where it all began. My home wasn't just any house. It was an old family estate, handed down through generations, each leaving behind their own stories and secrets. The house stood alone at the end of a desolate street, surrounded by overgrown trees whose twisted branches seemed to reach out like skeletal hands. Each room held its own piece of the past, from the grand foyer with its cracked marble floor to the long, narrow hallways that echoed with every step I took. That night, the air was unusually still, almost as if the house itself was holding its breath. The windows, old and drafty, rattled softly with the whispering wind outside, creating an eerie symphony of sounds that played on repeat in my mind. I had always felt a strange energy in this house, a presence that I couldn't quite explain. The locals whispered about its haunted past, about the tragedies that occurred within its walls. But to me, it was just home, until that night. The kitchen, usually a place of comfort and routine, felt different that night. Every corner seemed to hide a secret, every shadow a potential threat. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional drip of a leaky faucet and the distant howl of the wind. Outside, the world was cloaked in darkness, the only light coming from sporadic flashes of lightning that briefly illuminated the entire house, casting fleeting glimpses of movement and shadow. The isolation of the house amplified every sound, every whisper, making it impossible to shake the feeling that I wasn't truly alone. As I stood there, the weight of the night pressing down on me, I couldn't have known that this very silence was about to be shattered by something beyond my understanding. The house, with all its history and secrets, was about to reveal a side of itself that I was never prepared to face. As I reached for the glass in the kitchen cabinet, a subtle shift in the air caught my attention. It was as if the temperature had plummeted in an instant, the air growing unnaturally cold around me. I shrugged it off, blaming the old pipes or perhaps a draft sneaking in through the windows. But then, I heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible whispering that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the house. At first, I thought it was just the wind playing tricks on me, the old house groaning under its own weight. But the whispers persisted, growing slightly louder each moment, forming words that sent chills down my spine. As I took a step towards the sink, the floorboards creaked loudly beneath my feet, each step echoing unnaturally in the silent house. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes were following my every move. I glanced around, heart pounding, searching for any sign of an intruder. But the kitchen was empty. At least, it appeared to be. Yet, the sensation of a presence, something malevolent and unseen, intensified with every passing second. Then, without warning, The room seemed to come alive. The temperature dropped even further, my breath now visible in the frigid air. The whispers turned into low moans, a sorrowful lament that echoed through the house. I felt a sudden gust of cold air brush past me, despite the windows being tightly shut. My skin prickled with goosebumps, and an overwhelming sense of fear took hold. It was clear that whatever was happening wasn't just a figment of my imagination. Determined to stay calm, I decided to ignore the unsettling noises and proceed with my mission to get a glass of water. But the more I tried to focus, the more the house seemed to resist me, each step becoming heavier, the shadows growing thicker. I could feel my pulse racing, my mind grappling with the fear that something was terribly wrong. The once familiar kitchen now felt like a labyrinth of horrors, every corner hiding a potential threat. The subtle signs had escalated into a full-blown nightmare, and there was no turning back. As the eerie sounds continued to surround me, a battle raged within. My rational mind screamed to retreat, to lock myself away in the safety of my room. But another, darker part of me, one fueled by an inexplicable curiosity, demanded answers. I felt paralyzed, caught between the instinct to flee and the desperate need to understand what was happening. Every fiber of my being wanted to run back to the sanctuary of my room, but something kept me rooted to the spot. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, almost as if they were guiding me towards the source of the disturbance. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing the fear that threatened to consume me. I questioned my own sanity. Was this all happening in my mind, or was there something truly malevolent at play? I knew I couldn't ignore what I was experiencing. Ignoring it would mean pretending that the whispers and the shadows were mere tricks of the light or figments of an overactive imagination. But investigating it, that was a risk I wasn't sure I was prepared to take. Summoning every ounce of bravery I had, I made the choice to confront whatever was haunting my home. The fear was overwhelming, but so was the need to uncover the truth behind these inexplicable events. I knew that once I took this step, there would be no turning back. With each step I took, the house seemed to react. Doors creaked open on their own, and the temperature continued to drop, making it hard to breathe. My mind raced with thoughts of what I might find: a restless spirit, a hidden entity, or something far more sinister. I had to know what was causing this relentless terror. Whether it was a manifestation of my deepest fears or something otherworldly, I needed answers. And so, with a heavy heart and trembling hands, I stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever darkness awaited me. With each hesitant step, the atmosphere grew heavier, the very air thick with an unspoken malevolence. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing the fear that gripped me. I knew I was walking into the unknown, but there was no turning back now. As I ventured deeper into the heart of the house, the shadows seemed to come alive, twisting and contorting in unnatural ways. The temperature dropped further, my breath now visible in the frigid air. Every nerve in my body screamed to flee, but an inexplicable force urged me forward. There it was, a room I had never noticed before, hidden behind layers of darkness and time. The door stood slightly open, as if inviting me to uncover its secrets. My mind raced with questions, but my instincts were conflicted between dread and an overwhelming need to see what lay beyond. Alex takes a deep breath, his hand trembling as he reaches out to push the door open wider. The room beyond is bathed in a dim, otherworldly light, revealing an old, decrepit study filled with antique furniture covered in dust and cobwebs. Stepping into the room felt like crossing a threshold into another realm. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something indefinably dark. My eyes struggled to adjust to the dim light, revealing details that sent shivers down my spine. Visuals focus on the room's details: a grand, dusty bookshelf filled with ancient tomes, a large wooden desk with papers scattered haphazardly, and a cracked mirror reflecting a distorted image of Alex. As I moved further into the room, the temperature plummeted, and the oppressive silence was broken by a sudden, bone-chilling sound, a low, guttural growl that seemed to emanate from the very walls. There, in the corner, something stirred. It was like watching darkness itself come to life, twisting and contorting into a form that defied logic. My mind struggled to comprehend what I was seeing, but one thing was clear. It was not of this world. The shadowy figure slowly rises, its movements fluid and unnatural. It seems to absorb the light around it, growing darker and more intimidating with each passing second. The growl transforms into an otherworldly howl that reverberates through the room. Frozen in fear, I could only watch as the entity loomed closer, its presence overwhelming. Every instinct in my body screamed to run, but my legs refused to move. The room seemed to close in around me, the walls pulsating with a dark energy that threatened to consume me. As it reached out towards me, I felt an icy grip wrap around my heart, squeezing the very life out of me. The whispers from earlier intensified into a cacophony of voices, each one filled with anguish and malice. I could feel my sanity slipping away, teetering on the edge of a nightmare I couldn't escape. The shadowy figure extends a dark, mist-like hand towards Alex, its form becoming more defined, yet still maintaining an eerie, fluid motion. The room begins to distort, with the furniture and walls warping as if reality itself is bending under the entity's influence. In that moment, I realized that I was face to face with something ancient and powerful, a force that thrived on fear and darkness. My mind screamed for an explanation, for a way to fight back, but all I could do was stare into the abyss, feeling its cold embrace draw me deeper into the unknown. Suddenly, the entity recoils as a flash of lightning illuminates the room, revealing a hidden symbol etched into the desk. The symbol glows briefly before fading, and the entity dissipates into the shadows with a final, haunting whisper. Just as suddenly as it had appeared, the entity vanished, leaving me alone in the oppressive silence once more. My body trembled, my mind racing to process what had just transpired. The room felt different now, as if the very air had shifted, leaving behind an indelible mark of the supernatural encounter. After that harrowing confrontation, I thought the nightmare had momentarily subsided. But deep down, I knew the true terror was yet to unfold. The house held more secrets, and I was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Driven by a mix of fear and desperation, I knew that understanding the history of this house was crucial. There had to be an explanation for the malevolent presence that haunted these walls. I began to search the room, my hands trembling as I pulled books from the shelf, hoping to find answers. As Alex examines the books, he discovers an old, leather-bound journal tucked behind a row of antique volumes. The cover is embossed with strange symbols that seem to shimmer in the flickering light. There it was, a journal, its pages yellowed and fragile. The symbols on the cover sent a chill down my spine, but something compelled me to open it. This was the key to unraveling the mystery that had consumed my night. The entries detailed the house's dark past, a history of forbidden rituals, tragic losses, and lingering spirits unable to find peace. It became clear that the house was a nexus of supernatural energy, attracting entities that thrived on fear and despair. As Alex reads, the room begins to change subtly. The temperature drops sharply, his breath visible in the icy air. Shadows lengthen and twist unnaturally, reacting to the revelation of the journal. One entry stood out, a ritual meant to seal away the darkness, but something had gone terribly wrong. The final lines hinted at an incomplete ceremony, a lingering malevolence that still haunted the house. It was as if the very act of reading those words awakened the dormant evil within these walls. Suddenly, the room is plunged into darkness as the lights flicker and extinguish. The only illumination comes from occasional lightning flashes, revealing fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures moving in the periphery. Panic surged through me as the realization hit. This house wasn't just haunted. It was actively malevolent, seeking to draw me deeper into its nightmarish embrace. The incomplete ritual was the source of the unrest, and without finishing it, the darkness would never be contained. I had to act quickly. The journal provided the incantation needed to complete the ritual, to finally put an end to the suffering that plagued this place. But the deeper I delved into the darkness, the more it fought back, manifesting in terrifying apparitions and oppressive forces. Visuals show Alex standing resolute, the journal open in his hands as he begins to chant the words written within. The shadows swirl around him, reacting violently to his attempts to complete the ritual. With each word I spoke, the air grew thicker, the darkness pressing in from all sides. My voice wavered, but I pressed on, fueled by sheer determination and the desperate need to survive. The house seemed to resist, the shadows lashing out, threatening to consume me entirely. I could feel the darkness pushing back, trying to break my spirit, to make me abandon my quest. But I couldn't give in. Lives had been lost here, spirits tormented, and was my responsibility to bring peace to this forsaken place. As Alex nears the end of the incantation, a blinding flash of light fills the room, the shadows recoiling as if in pain. The chanting reaches a crescendo, then abruptly stops, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. With the final word spoken, a surge of energy coursed through the room. The oppressive darkness began to lift, replaced by a calm that felt almost unnatural after the chaos. The shadows dissipated, and the air warmed, the malevolent presence receding as if banished by the completed ritual. The ritual was complete. The darkness that had plagued this house for so long was finally sealed away. But the experience left me forever changed, a stark reminder of the thin veil between our world and the unknown. The house stands silent now, but the memories of that night will haunt me forever. With the ritual complete, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over me. The house, once a beacon of darkness and despair, now felt calm, almost normal. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my trembling hands and racing heart. But deep down, I knew that the night's events had left an indelible mark on both the house and myself. I sat down at the grand desk, the journal still clutched in my hands. The pages were blank now, as if the stories and secrets they once held had been erased by the ritual. I couldn't help but feel a mix of triumph and sorrow. Triumph for having survived, but sorrow for the lives lost and the spirits still yearning for peace. As dawn broke, I attempted to return to normalcy, but the experience had changed me irrevocably. The house was silent, but I could still feel the lingering presence of those I couldn't help. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind, served as a reminder of the night I faced the unknown and emerged forever altered. I tried to shake off the fear, to convince myself that it was all a figment of my imagination. But the reality of that night haunted me. The shadows still lingered in the corners of my mind, the whispers echoing in the silence. It was as if the house had etched itself into my very soul, a constant reminder that some mysteries are not easily forgotten. In the days that followed, I found it difficult to return to my old routine. Sleep eluded me, replaced by vivid nightmares of the shadows and the malevolent presence that once sought to consume me. Friends and family noticed the change in me, the way I seemed to carry the weight of something unspoken. The house, now devoid of its active darkness, still held an air of mystery. I often caught myself glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see those shadowy figures return. The ritual had sealed away the immediate threat, but the emotional scars remained, a testament to the thin veil between our world and the supernatural. I realized that while the house was no longer actively haunted, the experience had forever changed my perception of reality. The line between the natural and the supernatural had blurred, leaving me questioning what truly lies beyond our understanding. The house stands silent now, but its secrets and the terror of that night will always be a part of me. Days have turned into weeks since that harrowing night. The house, once a place of unimaginable fear, now stands quiet and still. But the memories of that night, the shadows, the whispers, the malevolent presence, remain etched deeply within me. At first, I thought the ordeal was behind me, that the ritual had truly sealed away the darkness. But reality has a way of intertwining with the supernatural in ways I never imagined. Every time I close my eyes, I'm transported back to that moment of confrontation, feeling the cold grip of fear and the oppressive weight of the shadows. I've tried to return to my normal life, but the experience has left an indelible mark on my psyche. Simple sounds now echo with sinister undertones, and the quiet moments are often filled with an unshakable sense of being watched. It's as if the house's secrets have seeped into my very soul, altering my perception of the world around me. The line between the natural and the supernatural has blurred, making me question what lies beyond our understanding. The rituals, the shadows, the whispers, they all point to a reality where the unknown is not just a figment of imagination, but a tangible presence that can influence our lives in most terrifying ways. In the aftermath, I've come to realize that some mysteries are not meant to be fully understood. The house may now be quiet, but the echoes of that night continue to resonate within me. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind, serves as a reminder that the veil between our world and the unknown is thinner than we ever thought possible. The experience has taught me that fear is not just an emotion, but a state of being that can linger long after the immediate threat has passed. The house stands silent now, but its secrets and the terror of that night will always be a part of me. I've learned to live with the shadows in my mind, accepting that some nights will forever remain dark and unexplained. As I reflect on what transpired, I understand that the true horror wasn't just the supernatural forces I encountered, but the lasting impact they had on my reality. The house may have been a battleground between light and darkness, but the war continues within me. The shadows may have been banished, but the fear and mystery they brought will never fully disappear. If Alex's journey through fear and the supernatural resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Sinister Stories for more chilling tales, and share it with friends who appreciate true horror and mysterious narratives. Have you ever experienced something that changed your perception of reality? Share your stories in the comments below, and stay tuned for more stories that delve into the darkest corners of fear and the unknown.